So I want to welcome everyone to Demos for Democracy. This is an ongoing live series of interactive online demos featuring designers and builders of the latest governance, innovations, platforms, tools, or methods that are fostering greater openness and collaboration to how we govern. So first and foremost, we would like Demos for Democracy to help jumpstart a conversation on what works and what isn't working in the space, and to provide developers and an interested audience to help refine and improve their tools and performance. So today we are very pleased to welcome Colleen Hardwick of Vancouver, Canada. She's the founder and CEO of PlaySpeak, a location-based citizen engagement platform that seeks to address the problem of how to consult with people online within specific geographic boundaries to produce verifiable data that supports evidence-based decision-making and public policy development at the local level. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Colleen to join us, and I want to thank you for accepting this invitation and let you know we're very happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much. It's my real pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to having a fairly high-level discussion. I'll just start off with a little bit of background about PlaySpeak and encourage people, if they haven't done so already, when they get a chance to sign up and claim their place. That's our slogan, I guess, is claim your place, speak your mind, and influence the outcome. This project started 5 years ago when I was trying to figure out how to consult with people on a rail corridor here in Vancouver. Both the rail line, the CPR, and the City of Vancouver were reluctant to make any changes because of a perceived logjam in public consultation. And they needed hard evidence of public intent in order to break that logjam. So I started to try and figure out how to do that, how to consult with people online within specific geographic boundaries and prove it. And since there was no way, we started to invent it. And we have done this with the support of the National Research Council of Canada since then, and we're just coming up to our 5th anniversary since earliest prototyping. I'm just going to play a quick little video here for you, hopefully. Oops, wouldn't you know it? Just to give you a sense of our mission for the public.
Nobody notified me.
Can you hear that?
No one knew anything about it.
Does this sound familiar? Are you frustrated not knowing what's going on in your own neighborhood? Now you can do something about it. Imagine you can receive notifications about proposed changes in your community. You can provide feedback based on where you actually live. You can influence decisions in a meaningful way. Introducing PlaySpeak, location-based consultation utility.
So hopefully that was here. You could hear that. That was audible. So it's really there as a mechanism to help people stay informed and engage with what's going on in their communities. So when I started this process, I looked at creating a framework around building legitimacy in digital democracy, and I drew on several of the key thinkers in the area of democratic theory. So people, writing on democracy like Pierre Roosevelt on democratic legitimacy, Graham Smith on democratic innovations, Mark Warren, Iris Marion Young on inclusion and democracy, and came up with this framework. We need to be inclusive, which the internet allows us to do, and with mobile devices in ways never before possible. ICTs make it possible for us to have popular control through citizen engagement on decision-making and policies in our areas. It makes it possible to keep people informed and educate them about what's going on so that they can contribute meaningfully and reasonably in our civic discourse. Transparency is an essential element, of course, in order to build confidence and accountability. Efficiency, being able to do stuff online just makes it that much easier and time efficient. And ultimately, transferability is about scalability. And I would argue that the internet and ICTs generally will allow democracy to scale in a way that was never before possible. Sorry. So the problem that we're trying to solve is really one where we consult with citizens to collect evidence to inform deliberation and ultimately influence outcomes, except for we don't. And as a result, people are very cynical. They don't see any evidence that their input is actually having an influence on the outcome. So we have focused with PlaySpeak on that evidence piece. How do we collect evidence that is authentic and transparent? So we looked first at our traditional methods of gathering public feedback and determined that they weren't particularly inclusive, accessible, reasonable, transparent, and they didn't provide us with very good evidence. So then we started to look online, but when we got online, we started to encounter a whole different set of pathologies. You know, trolls are pervasive, whether they're paid or unpaid, and in trying to skew the results of online discussions, for example. We've seen astroturfing, the practice of making sponsors of a message appear like they have grassroots support. We've seen sock puppets, where online identities are used for purposes of deception and other uses of false identity. We've seen ballot stuffing with sock puppets trying to make it appear that they've got a result of majorities. And we've seen that government sock puppetry as well, of trying to sway online opinion. We've seen freeping, which is stacking poll results by directing people to web polls. And again, you can do this because there's no authentication around people's responses. How we have been gathering information has really been a black box. Either we're using market research panels for polling, where we've got standing panels where people are contributing through largely surveys, but we have no idea what's going on inside that panel or on the back of that email form or that white label survey. So it really lacks transparency. So what we have focused on with developing PlaySpeak is the evidence piece. How do we show that evidence? And it is tied to digital identity authentication. So that is one of the key elements of PlaySpeak. We make it easy for people to authenticate, and then they can become more authenticated as they go on. But at the same time, we have to protect individual privacy. This is absolutely essential. So how do we protect privacy and generate evidence at the same time? The answer is privacy by design. We separate out the private information of individuals from the feedback, and in doing so, really serve both sides of the equation. And it is a two-sided model. On the one hand, we've got people who are verifying themselves to place. And then on the other hand, we've got proponents of consultations that want to consult with people. So instead of setting up standalone websites or white label applications where we're just gathering information into a black box, PlaySpeak has really been pioneering this whole geosocial model. So again, I encourage people as participants to sign up so that they go through that experience. But what we're going to focus on in my demo is really the organization side. So when you sign up, you'll start at the world. You'll then come down into your country, your province, and then zoom into where you live. And we make it easy for people to sign up in the beginning, and then they can add additional layers of authentication. Similarly, proponents of consultations can add other layers of verification if they want to add more rigor to really ensure on controversial topics that they're reaching people in the affected area. So once you sign up, you create your profile. Here's me. Here's where I live down by the beach. I can have multiple places. I can have my home, my work, my school. I can choose my public privacy on an individual topic basis. I've talked a little bit about verification and how you can add additional layers of verification. Notifications, we have now started to automate place-based notifications. So people can choose to be notified about upcoming things that are relevant to them where they live. We've started with land use change, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And we've also started to layer in neighborhoods so that people who have been verified within neighborhoods can communicate with one another. And we're seeing that this is a very active way of building community and then carrying ideas back to local government in particular. And then this is a nod to the fact that you can plug in your various forms of social media and invite your friends and neighbors. But where I'm really going with this from an individual standpoint is a citizen-centered model. I live here. All the silos need to break down and deliver notifications and opportunities to consult with me because of where I live, not me fitting into whatever works for the planning department or engineering or schools or parks or real estate developers or whomever. So since we started, we have seen this now used within all levels of government, but starting with local government, starting with, I mentioned transportation and land use planning, but it was actually the school boards that were the first to start using it, where they wanted to be able to consult with parents within school catchment areas. And we've seen it used continuously on a broad range of different kinds of topics, starting off with one or two and then working up to the point where they're cross-pollinating between different departments. Regulatory agencies, particularly transportation and communications, but now we're starting to see it used in public health, for example, which is really interesting. Over time, I'm keen to see how we could potentially factor into disease control. And then in the private sector, it's property developers seeking rezonings. They are obliged to consult with the public within boundaries as part of their application process to the city. So again, this falls, even though it's the private sector, it falls within the public mandate. Similarly with resource developers, we've seen our first mine now with the Ajax mine, where they are obliged as part of their seeking environmental approvals to consult with residents within the area. And then we're seeing nonprofit and community organizations that want to strengthen the results of their consultations with their members to strengthen lobbying efforts. And as PlaySpeak is a social venture, the public and private sector clients are really supporting or subsidizing the nonprofit and community groups. So at this point, I'll stop really quickly and say I'm going to jump into the demo part of this at the point where we are creating our organization. So to anyone that wants to try this after the fact, just click on Start a Consultation, and that will then allow you to go through what I'm going to just show you. So I've already gone in and I've gone to my organization page. So the first thing you do is create an organization. And an organization, just for future reference, can have multiple managers to ultimately have the ability to create topics. So now I'm going to create a new topic. Here it comes. Okay, new topic page. And I'm going to continue. Here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do, just so you know, is I can then toggle between the administrative dashboard where I am now and the public side. So it's a very simple process of toggling back and forth between the public and proponent side. So if I want, I can add additional administrators or moderators here. Administrators can do anything. Moderators can just moderate discussions. Then I'll put in my contact details. So I'm going to make it, for the sake of argument, the city of Vancouver, where I live. And let's look at the Vancouver.ca website here, just to get the URL. Okay, and then I'll just sneak that back in here. I'm looking here, and what have they got on their site in terms of social media? They have a Facebook page, so I grab the city's Facebook page address and slap it in here. They have a Twitter address, so I'll just grab that as well and plug that in here. And I'm going to change this logo because I want it to be from the city instead of PlaySpeak. So I'm just going to drag and drop that logo that I had sitting there. And then I add my contact information here, and I'll just throw in my cell phone number just for demonstration purposes, and I save it. So if we just want to look at that on the other side now, we will see that I have changed this now to the city of Vancouver, and we got the logo up here. Now I'm going to quickly go in and determine who can participate. So I can restrict this to connected residents only as defined by the map for discussions and for polls and surveys or not. It's up to me to decide how open I want to be about this consultation. I could also choose to only have people that are invited via email participate. So I can also make those topics private. So if I want to do a private stakeholder consultation, I can also do that. And I can also determine how many levels of verification I require in addition to the basic, if any. It may not be a controversial topic, so I may not care about adding any additional verification. But if I want to, I just tick the box and then I save that. The key thing is really the map, because this is a location-based service and ultimately a voluntary geographical information system. So I'm just going to go in here and grab a KML file, which I want to download. It's really quickly. And now I'm going to upload that file. So I can upload any standard GIS file like a KML file, or like shape file is another common one with Esri. And then I can create a little smaller version there that's going to appear on the public side and save it. Now, if it was hyperlocal, I could draw the polygon using the drawing tools, but for the sake of expedience, I just wanted to upload one like I did just now. Now, again, I'll just run over to the public side, reboot that, reload that, and what we will see now should be, there we go. So we've got the City of Vancouver broken down by neighborhood. So now I go back in and I decide what features do I want to use. The overview page is usually the landing page. Discussions, yes, I want those. Resources for describing the consultation, I want those. Events, place it as our user input map. That's like putting post-it notes on a map with comments, and notice board. So I'm going to leave all of those features live, but if I wanted to, I would go into resources or into features and turn them off. Now, on the overview page, which is my landing page, I want to put in a hero image or a header image, and I've already grabbed one in advance, so I'm just going to drag and drop that, but as you can see, I could get that from just about anywhere, and it looks like I made a bad choice of image. So I'm going to cancel on that and go and find another image. The abstract, my call to action in this case, I think I'm going to make it help shape the future of our community by contributing your opinions. It's very generic, but there you go. And then I can start to put whatever I want into that topic, because we are using what's called a WYSIWYG editor, which means what you see is what you get. So I can go in and say, okay, this is the first part of our consultation. Oops. And then I could go in and, put in a bunch more descriptive text and so on. And I can also put in images, just about anything I want in terms of graphs or any there's, so that one worked in there, and I'll just use that. So this is very easy to customize for your landing page. Then you choose your keywords for search. So I'm just going to drag and drop the easy ones, or I thought I was going to drag and drop the easy ones, but I will just do it here. Consult. And I can come up with up to 5 keywords for search. Then under surveys, I can choose from 2 survey platforms that we have in place. Lime Survey, which is a free open source platform that is very widely used and well supported. Just so you know, there's the link to Lime Survey, but this is within PlaySpeak. So when we gather all of the feedback data from that survey, when you go down to your reports, all of your data is going to be spatially segmented according to the polygons on the map. We also support fluid surveys, which was recently bought by SurveyMonkey, and SurveyMonkey is going to be up next. Again, our objective is to use all sorts of different tools, but be able to provide spatially segmented, verifiable feedback data. I can also create discussion questions. I can embed photos or videos into the questions as well. I can reorder them. I can choose to pre-moderate the topics or not. We found, because people are self-identifying, that we don't have a problem with trolls, and we've actually found that fewer than 5% of participants choose to be anonymous, although they have that ability should they choose so. But there's a lot of flexibility in reordering questions, and we have best practices that we can offer around that. Events, again, that old WYSIWYG editor, so you can embed your posters or whatever and put up your dates and save it over to the public side. People can save it to various calendaring programs. Resources, you can upload any kind of images, videos, documents, or links and create multiple chapters or folders for different topics where you're trying to educate people. You can plug in your Facebook and Twitter feeds down the right-hand column of the platform, for example, which is really helpful for, again, creating cross-pollination and awareness for people.
Hi, Colleen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to call attention to our time.
Okay.
And see if there's a couple more points you want to make before we wrap up the demo and open it up to questions.
Okay, so as it's really a matter of filling in the blanks as you go through, and there's some key things like your ability to create different widgets and iframes that you can plug into other websites, your raw data that can be exported in a variety of forms for importing into other analytical software. And we've also created things like this activity map so that you can drill in and see how many people have signed up, or activity graphs so that you can see what the activity is. So overall, the objective is to create as many opportunities for people to be engaging in directed communication, and then being able to see the results in real time. I'll just switch over to an example. Here's one that's going on in Michigan City, Indiana, as we speak, that is a good illustration of how to set it up. And they've got their limited area. They've done a really good job of this, and I'll provide some examples of successful consultations that other people can look at. So that's, I'll stop at that point and suggest it's a good time to field any questions.
Great, thank you so much for that demo and overview. I want to ask, first and foremost, everybody who is on the call, if you would like to submit a question, please do so. And if you would like to ask the question, just raise your hand and we can call on you and just make sure that you're unmuted. You may also submit a question via chat. One question that I had just to get the conversation started is, and I'm sure you get this asked often, but what is the funding model? How does this work?
We use a software as a service model or a SaaS model where proponents of consultations can pay on a monthly or annual basis per topic on their credit card or PayPal. So there's a DIY model that's like $250 a month or $2,500 a year, or a premium at $500 a month or $5,000 a year. So whether it's, again, local government or school districts or real estate developers, in each and every case, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for them to set it up and manage it themselves. We've also been doing enterprise, which is where we see municipalities that are using it for all of their consultations, because they may or may not have done one or two before, and now they get it. And we come up with a customized enterprise model depending on the population size and volume of consultation topics.
Okay, we had a question from Maria here at GovLab who wanted to know, is the platform in Spanish? And if so, do you have any clients that use it in this language?
Initially, we've done our full translation just into French and English. We're in Canada, so we have both languages. We do have Google Translate built in, of course, which it captures to the best of, it's the best that's out there for generic translation. So we have not yet had any Spanish consultations. We've had French, and we would love to pilot it if we had an opportunity.
We have another question here about the DIY model. Is there a limit on the number of topics that can be posted?
Well, each topic is a unit to itself and is handled separately. You can do them sequentially, or you can do them at the same time. And if they're looking at doing multiples, then we should talk about an enterprise solution instead of individual ones like the DIYs. But we do see a fairly regular stream of people just coming and setting up consultation topics on their own.
So I was curious, you've been working on this for, I want to say 5 or 6 years now, if that sounds about right.
We're just coming up on our 5th anniversary from when we started prototyping.
That's awesome. What has surprised you when you see the tool in actual use? Have you seen any unanticipated outcomes?
Well, there have been a couple of interesting ones. The Whitehorse Corridor up in the Alaska Highway was really interesting to us. It was remote, but we found that they were very inventive in the way that they presented the topic to the people, which made it way more engaging and interactive, including things like 3D fly-throughs that corresponded with engineering drawings and things of that nature. So it was much more interesting for people, because our experience is if you just put up something, it's got to be evocative in some way to capture people's attention. Other ones that were kind of surprising were when we did a transportation referendum with one of the local radio stations. There was a transportation referendum where we asked people how they were going to vote, and the radio station pushed it out to their listeners, and we were able to see the spatial distribution of responses, and we came in within 0.03% of the outcome of the referendum. So this was an interesting contrast to what we typically see with polling companies doing panels where they tell you what the results are. We were able to see the results in real time. And similarly, I'm just putting up another example where we did real-time polling around the Canadian federal election last fall. This was something that we did in partnership with CartoDB, where we were able to show how people said they were going to vote in real time. And this would actually be something fascinating, watching what is going on with the primaries in the United States. I'd love to see this happen there, because it removes that filter of third parties and really allows that genuine data to come right from the source. So these ones are really interesting to me. Some of the open data stuff, we've recently partnered with Socrata on. I'm really interested to see how the feedback loop will work there. We're getting open data that allows us to automate notifications, which allows us to gather feedback data that we then want to be able to show data visualization around, hopefully using some of Socrata's technology as well. So it's just been interesting to see how these pieces fit together. We have created, I should also mention, an API so that third-party applications and websites can use PlaySpeak to location verify their users, because I do see all of these pieces working together in a larger whole.
Great. So I have one question. We are always interested to kind of better understand the field of civic tech, and also, in addition to all these great things that have worked, what if you could point to maybe 1 or 2 things in the iteration and prototyping process that maybe didn't go as you planned, and what have you learned over the course of the last 5 years?
Well, in the beginning, we made it so people had to go through multiple layers of authentication in order to participate right from the beginning. And we found that put up too many barriers to participation. So one of the key things right from prototyping for us was to make the sign-up process easier and more fun because of the mapping component. So just removing it's kind of a attention that we're dealing with. We want people to sign up and verify themselves, but we don't want to deter them in the first place. So finding the balance between those two things, I think, has been a big challenge for us. In terms of developing the platform itself, we moved from a pretty static prototype onto our existing technology stack, and each step of the way moving from prototype to what is, we're using Python, it's GeoDjango on Postgres or PostGIS specifically for the techies among us. That was challenging. As a startup, we started with Twitter Bootstrap because we didn't have a proper front end. Then, gradually we were able to get a much better front-end design. And then we've moved from, fairly standard web design into responsive design. You may note that the dashboard side is still, old school, whereas the public side is much more contemporary responsive design. So we're continuing to make things more and more mobile responsive in particular. But those are the kinds of technology challenges. On the other side, the challenges have been trying to get government to actually want to hear from the public. We see this used all too often just as a brochure site for pushing out information and not genuinely gathering information from people. I think there's a fear on the part of a lot of bureaucrats and civil servants that they're afraid of hearing what the public has to say. But we've been able to prove out in multiple examples now that they don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about trolls or people abusing the system, and we've become quite an antidote for trolls, and so hopefully that's helping ameliorate some of the fear factor of particularly civil servants dipping their toe in the digital water, so to speak.
Great. We are at time today, so I want to offer you a final opportunity to kind of wrap up and share any additional points that you want to share with the civic tech community, the GovLab community, and I want to thank you again for demonstrating PlaceSpeak here. It looks fabulous. It's really exciting to see the direction that you're going in and how this product actually addresses the framework that you talked about earlier in terms of this new digital democracy. And with that, I'll just turn it over to you, Colleen, for any last words.
Well, thanks. Last words to anybody in the civic tech side of things. We love partnering and trying new things with other folks. So please be in touch. If there's people there that want to experiment with new things, please let us know. I do see we are really at an important part in our democracy collectively, being able to use technology to advance democracy and make it real. And I think that's the biggest challenge that's before us now, is taking the internet tools, which are social media or tend to be toys or for fun, and making it real, and really empowering the people genuinely through information and communications technology.
So great. That concludes our latest demo for democracy. Thank you again to Colleen Hardwick from PlaceSpeak, and I invite everyone to go to placespeak.com and log in and create a profile and give the product a tool. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.